Always weird pressing the record button.
I feel like that's what it's always going to be.
Until we get used to it.
Yeah. But also, you could say it's a kind of magic pressing the record button.
Speaking of magic.
Wow, what are we gonna start today, buckaroos?
Who knows? Not me.
Knows? Yeah.
I saw I decided this episode.
I actually have no clue
what
we're talking about today.
Welcome
back to Divers and Drivers.
We're your hosts.
I'm Juana, she, her, hers.
My name is Quinn, they, them, theirs.
And we are both practicing witches.
We're witches. Genuinely.
We are witches.
No.
We are witches.
Genuinely. Realistically, genuinely, we are, indeed.
Yeah.
And this is what this episode is about. It's called Spelling Test.
This is spelling test because witches do spells.
And this is your test. You're being tested right now.
Whoa, we're not testing anyone.
How do you make a?
Me every single day.
How do you make black salt go? Spelling test. How do you make black salt?
Color it black.
What with what?
Paint.
No.
This is the category of episode that we have where we talk about spirituality and
everything's
witchcraft.
Spiritual, but mostly witchcraft, because that is
very spiritual.
That is what we deal with specifically. However, we will probably dip into other things at some point, just because we're human beings, and that is how that works.
Dialogue works. Yeah. So, welcome to Spelling Test.
Always remember to carry some black obsidian.
Spelling test. Escucha las palabras de las brujas. Escucha los secretos de la noche. And always remember, practice safe hex.
No, but seriously.
You should.
On the agenda today, what we have a master post, I guess you would call it, of some witchcraft questions that we're going to go through and,
just to
explain for ourselves and for you and whatever. Just some fun questions. If you practice witchcraft, go ahead and answer these questions with us. It'll be fun.
It would. Comment them down below. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell.
Yeah, unless you're listening on Spotify or anywhere else that doesn't involve
then make sure you favorite this episode.
Follow the podcast. Anyway, so
today,
yes, we're answering some questions from this master post that we got on Tumblr.
By...
It's Pretty Alice 13, I believe.
Pretty Alice. Thank you so much for...
Pretty Alice made this big master post. Thank you so much. Witchcraft asks, number 1 through 105. We are not doing all questions,
we are
Jesus
doing
Christ.
10 questions per person.
Yes. Disclaimers. Opinions are always subject to change, and at any point in your life, if you say something at one point in your life, it does not mean you need to...
justify it.
Well, justify it, but it also means you do not need to hold yourself to it. This is a
people change. Witchcraft paths.
Yes.
Spirituality.
It is a very common thing, especially now in the witchcraft community, to feel like you have to pick one path and then stick to it. Like, oh, I'm a green witch. Oh, I'm an tarot witch. Oh, I'm a
tarot witch. You can be a tarot witch.
I don't know. I'm just saying things.
It's just because.
Oh, I'm a this witch. I'm a that. Okay, relax. You can stretch into everything. You can stretch into one thing. Yeah, that's the disclaimer. What we say at this point in time is completely subject to change. It could change tomorrow.
Also,
it could change 5 minutes after clicking the unrecord button.
Disclaimer, we are relatively new to this.
Yes.
So we are not we are not experts in any sense of the term.
Oh, no. And no matter how long you practice, you will never be an expert.
Any advice that we give is just stuff that we've experienced that might help.
Yes.
Don't take it to be written in stone. Witchcraft is all about figuring out your own path and figuring out what works for you.
But don't feel like
I'm saying that if you do something and it fucks you over, you are not liable to sue us.
We are not responsible for the mistakes that you make. All right.
And that is just that
You
goes
are-
for literally
Yes.
everyone ever.
You are responsible for your own mistakes. We are responsible for ours. So.
And this podcast was definitely one of them. I'm kidding.
Anyway,
I like this podcast.
I guess I
you
will
want to get
start.
started?
First question that we have
Ooh.
is: do you consider yourself? And we're both answering this. Do you
Yes.
consider yourself Wiccan, pagan, witch, or other? For me personally, I just describe myself as a witch. I don't necessarily call myself pagan, even though I could, since I have a more polytheistic belief system. And pagan literally just means believing in more than one god. It doesn't necessarily mean... I feel like a lot of pagan is like Celtic. You think of Celtic or Greek or whatever, but in reality, it just means polytheistic. I describe myself as a witch. I don't vibe with the pagan title. And I am definitely not Wiccan, because that is a religion that I looked into and started and then was like, I don't like this, so I stopped following it.
I looked into a little bit of Wicca towards the very, very beginning of my practice, because that's all that I thought that there was.
Yes.
Turns out there's infinite possibilities
Oh,
and potential.
so much more.
There's so much more.
Overwhelmingly so much more.
Yeah, but also it's very freeing when you're just deciding. Because in terms of this question, I identify as a witch, but if you want to get into more specifics, I identify as a Jewish mystic. Because, and I will explain, I was raised agnostic. My mom would put up the Christmas tree for Christmas, and we would do that, and we would go to like holiday parties.
That's so
we
funny.
never, it's gonna be funny because my mom and dad are both Jewish, but my brother and I were raised agnostic. So, you know, they did that. I identify as a Jewish mystic because I started doing witchcraft, and I really like doing witchcraft, but also my whole family is Jewish. And most of my family lives in Argentina, and I don't know a lot about my ancestry. So that is how I feel connected to my ancestral roots.
I really want to do like 23
Judaism, but witchcraft and mysticism is my own path. You know, so it's intertwining the two. Yeah. And I still don't know a lot about Judaism. I really don't. And that's why only now I've started like pursuing it and like going into it and learning about it.
Yeah, I was raised to not believe in God or gods or anything, and that, you know, it was a bad idea too. Ooh. Not necessarily that it was a bad idea too, but I was mostly, my mom is Buddhist, and in the form of Buddhism that she believes in, gods don't exist, and therefore, you know, like, believing in gods is, like, taboo. It's not a thing people do in that form of Buddhism. And then I started looking at my own spiritual stuff, and I was like, hold on a minute, polytheism? And then there you go.
Polytheism is kind of funky. I haven't gotten into it yet, but I would like to practice with different deities and stuff. I'd like to practice with fairies at some point, which is really fucking dangerous.
They stress me out.
So
I thought I wanted to do that for a while, and then I was like, no.
Maybe not for like another few years, but yeah. Anyways, next question. My question is, what are our zodiac signs? And we have to describe the big three and the little three.
Oh God, I don't know my little three.
Okay, so pull it up. So do you want to go first?
Sure. My sun is Gemini, my moon is Virgo, and I am a Scorpio rising.
Very cool. You're much more balanced than I am on your chart. I am a Sagittarius sun, a Pisces moon, and an Aries rising. So that already tells you everything you need to know about me. Actually, I was talking yesterday. I was at my aunt's baby shower yesterday, and we were talking about zodiacs. And I brought you up, and I was saying, like, my best friend is a Gemini. I love Geminis, and they're like, oh, it's because you're Sagittarius. And I was like, but also, because Gemini and Sagittarius are right across from each other on the astrological chart, and signs that have that tend to get along very well. Yeah. And we also have that for our moon signs. Pisces and Virgo are right across from each other. Yeah. So we are like constantly in sync. Mentally we balance each other out. They're very, you know, that's just the dynamic. Yeah.
So
okay.
You explain the little three because you know a lot more about astrology than I do.
So I feel like you're catching up though. So the little three, the big three is your ascendant sign, your rising, your sun, and your moon sign. Your moon is your emotions, your sun is your basic identity, is like your own identity, how you see yourself, and your rising is like your ego and how you come off to with other people, right? So most people know those three. Little three, however, is a little bit more uncommon for people to know. It is your Mercury, which rules communication and intelligence and how you process information.
Love my Mercury.
Your Venus, which is love and, you know, how you view, like, beauty and stuff. And your Mars, which is passion and aggression and, like, you know, your vigor for life. You know, basically. So, my little three... Oh, ouch! I have one earth sign in my chart, and that is in my Mercury, and I have a Capricorn. Capricorn Mercury, which means I'm very nitpicky in, like, how I process things.
Yes.
Like, in information, and how
you absolutely are.
Yeah, dude. I'm an English major. So, absolutely. I said this to my friend the other day, I prefer writing papers over doing tests, because fuck taking tests.
Yes.
I hate that shit so much.
I agree with that, but I think that's just because we're both artists. And
yeah.
So we're like...
my Venus is in Sagittarius, which... Ooh, we're not gonna get into that. We're not getting into that right now. Basically, a wise, philosophical, bounces around from partner to partner, which... you know? And then my Mars is in Pisces. So it's very whimsy, but also when I get mad, I tend to cry and get very afraid. So, those are my big three and little three.
So
what
my
about
little
you, Quinn?
three,
So
Mercury in Gemini, which I am very proud of because Mercury and Gemini... Gemini is... Sorry, if you can hear our dog...
Yeah, you can hear the dog.
You can hear our dog. She's a whole mess right now. But I'm Mercury in Gemini, which I'm very proud of because Gemini is Mercury's home sign. So I'm like, you know what I mean? My Venus is in Leo, and my Mars is in Cancer. So do with that what you will.
Yeah, you can find out so much more. Like, we're not going to go too into depth for it because you can have an entire conversation about it.
The next question that we have, I will bring it up. I have question number 8. Which goes, oh, Jesus Christ, this is a big question.
Oh, God.
It goes, how would you define your craft?
Oh, my fucking
Jesus
God.
Christ. Why did I choose this?
Why do you hate us?
How would I define my craft? Definitely can't define it in one word, but I think that's the way for everybody, unless you've been practicing for probably like 10, 20 years, and then you're like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 because you know like yourself. You know. But definitely my craft is very... it, like, goes with the flow. It's very dependent on my energy levels at the time. It's very dependent on the seasons, I feel like. It's dependent on...
The weather.
Etc. The weather. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like... I would not consider myself ceremonial. There are people who consider themselves very ceremonial. That stresses the fuck out of me. Like ceremonial magic...
calendar.
Oh my gosh!
Doing things in tune. Props to whoever actually does it. Oh my God!
I am working on doing things more in tune. Like, one of the last spells I did was in tune and done on a specific day.
Yes, same here.
Etc. However, I don't know. I would not call myself a folk practitioner either. I think it's probably a little bit in the middle, which I think is the same way for a lot of people. And it's very self-centered, but not in the negative way. It's very like
it revolves around you, your practice. That's what you mean by self-centered, not like I'm an asshole, but like a little bit of an asshole. No, but I think everyone's a little bit of an asshole.
No, but it's very much like centered around myself, which I think most people's practices should be. Because without you won't have a practice. Come on now.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I guess that's such a broad question. That's the best
I can do. It really is. I would, just to put it simply, because it really is a very long and convoluted answer. Mine is very, all of magic is very intentional. Mm-hmm. It has to be, right? You can't do anything without
intention. If it's not intentional, it won't
do
anything.
Yeah. But mine is very much like, I'm trying to get into glamour and stuff, and like, it's more subtle magic, I feel.
Yeah.
Mine is like I carry gems in my
is.
boobs. You know,
Well, I think a lot of people do that.
I carry right, but it's not like sitting down doing it. Like I do spells, I do, but it's not very frequent on my end.
No.
It's like a lot of, you know, routine for me. You know, I light Palo Santo in my room almost every day. I open the windows to clear the vibes and to like, you know, release the energy. You know, when I make my tea in the morning, I stir clockwise to attract positive energies. I make a protection sigil with my Palo Santo over my bed so I don't get any of my weird dreams, which I do a lot. It is a problem. But yeah, it's a lot of very subtle forms of magic. I do tarot and stuff like that as well.
I would say that your craft is a lot more low-key than mine. However, both of ours are low-key.
Both of us are very low-key, but also it's because I'm hella inexperienced. But I'm also saying in the fact that, like, when you do something, you're fine. Like, we're very different in that when I do a tarot reading, that's, like, you know, important. Not that no tarot readings are important, but, like, you know what I mean. When I do tarot readings, or when I do some magic or whatever, I prefer to do it by myself, and yet you often are like, oh, do you want to, like, do this tarot reading with me? Do you want to do this with me? Blah, 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 which is, there's just a different way to do it. Yeah, and also I feel like you were saying, I mean, this is true for all forms of magic, Jesus Christ, but a lot of the energy comes from you.
Yeah.
So if vibrationally, like a lot of the magic that I do is to perk myself back up to being like on a baseline level, because I feel low a lot of the time, and then I do something like, okay, Palo Santo,
so often.
Do a little bit of glamour, do a little bit of like, I'm putting these gems on, like I have citrine earrings that I wear when I really need
They're
to like,
so pretty.
When I really need to like go for something and like really just fucking harness the power of the sun and go for it. You know, that's the kind of thing I do. I want to get into doing more. It's a lot of internal magic, the stuff that I do, I feel. I want to get into doing more external stuff, though. So I guess, in short, quote unquote, that is how I would define it. Which actually leads well into my next question. The next question that I have is, how long have we been practicing?
Segways.
Okay.
You're the one who asked the question.
I've been practicing, I guess. I've been interested in it since I was like a sophomore in high school, but I never really went for it. I worked at a meditation center that dealt with a lot of, you know, alternative spirituality, you know, which is to say a lot of whitewashed spirituality, a lot of, you know, Urban Outfitters spirituality, but it was a job, you know, and it taught me a lot of like about the chakra centers and the centers of energy in your body and stuff. But I say that I started practicing when I got my first tarot deck in a white elephant gift exchange, which was 2 years ago now, I think. It wasn't last Christmas, it was the Christmas before then. So
I have no clue.
Like a year and a half.
Probably.
So, but that's really when I started like learning tarot, and then I got into tarot. I mean, I've been collecting crystals my entire life because that's the community that I grew up in. Like everybody was doing like spirituality and Reiki and meditation and stuff. And so my best friend's mom at the time, she had a crystal store. So anytime I would come over, she'd just give one to me. Right? And so that's how I started collecting a lot of them. Nice. So, but my official practice started 2 years ago, and then it got shifted into high gear. Well, high, quote unquote, during quarantine.
Yeah,
during lockdown, I want to say.
Yeah. I have been technically in a spiritual practice my entire life, considering my mom is literally Buddhist. It's just a different form of spirituality. I got interested in witchcraft, specifically Wicca, because that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
In freshman year of high school, and I started like, I identified as Wicca at that time. Like freshman year of high school, I was like, I'm Wiccan, blah 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 blah. Started researching Wicca, and then I really didn't like it, and then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and then whatever. Fast forward senior year of high school, it's first lockdown when the schools were like, we're closing for 2 weeks, and then lied.
Psych. Psych.
Senior year of high school, which is probably a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more. I don't really know.
This is our second year of college.
It was in January of that year. I remember because I think
January of 2020.
Yes. I think. Because I think my witchiversary, quote unquote, is January 25th. I don't know why, but that date is like so stuck in my mind. January 25th. So I think that was the day that I started really writing in my Book of Shadows and actually studying and learning past Wiccan stuff. So probably for about a year and a half. But I do remember being like a lot. Obviously, I think it's the same way for a lot of spiritual people. I feel like a lot of my witchy traits I have repressed a lot, just because, whatever. But like when I was younger, I would remember talking, to my mom about like fairies or something like that and them being real. My mom was like, no, they're not real. And I was like, oh man. And then, I kind of just like...
I wanted them to be real because my favorite video game when I was a kid was Pixie Hollow. So,
I just remember,
Pixie Hollow.
I remember believing that fairies existed, whatever, blah, blah, blah. My mom being like, no, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, fuck. And then later I was like, oh, wait, they do, lol. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
Fairy circles, don't step in them.
You could say... if you wanted to push it, you could say my entire life, quote unquote. But realistically, comfortably, I'm comfortable saying
sometimes people
is maybe a year and a half, a little over that, maybe longer.
Because a lot of people when they're kids too, they establish or they show off these like witchy traits, and they don't really know about it until they're older. Kind of like being queer. But that's a different conversation for a different day.
Life-to-life connection.
Life-to-life connection. Text-to-text connection. What's your next question, Quinn? Do you curse? If not, do you accept others who do?
Okay. Define a curse.
I don't know. I don't even know.
First of all, do I curse word? Yes. Fucking shit, goddamn whore.
Whore, bastard, bitch, slut,
yes, I
ass
curse
hat,
in that way.
Twat. That shit.
Do I curse in terms of magic, like hexing or cursing? No, I do not. I think the quote-unquote worst thing I've done is a binding spell, which I'm not going into this.
Yeah, you don't have to.
The thing that I've done is a binding spell, right? But I have expressed before that I'm not against going further than that if the situation needed it. I have never been in the point where a situation needed it. I have never had that happen, right? However, I'm especially not against other people doing it, as long as it's fucking justified. I have this weird belief, because I believe in karma, but I believe you can, even if you do it when it's unjustified, I think it's a shitty thing to do, but I do think that you can avoid karma in that way, because I think if you use protection the right way, you can protect...
Practice safe hex!
No, but I think genuinely if you use protection the right way, you can... guard yourself from the, karmic backlash, quote unquote, that is, because that's what you're doing when you protect yourself going out anyway. You're protecting yourself from energy. There's no reason you can't protect yourself from energy in the other way. However, do I agree with people who do that and hex for no reason? Absolutely fucking not. I think at the end of the day, it's gonna come back to bite them in the ass eventually.
I remember on TikTok,
no matter
on
what.
Witch Talk, there was the really...
Witch Talk.
There was a really
place.
fucking... like a bunch of witches tried to hex the moon.
The moon!
That was
so
funny.
weird! It's such a weird time.
I don't believe in hexing entities because ultimately the moon is more powerful than you.
The moon is not gonna care.
She's not gonna care and she will bite you in the fucking ass, dude.
The moon was probably like, what? What the fuck?
Hell? What kind of fucking
And then there was this one
disrespect?
thing where people tried to hex the Fae. Weird.
Yo, hexing the Fae. No, no. If you hex the Fae, I want you.
Weird time.
I would not talk. I want you.
I'm gonna
60
tell you right
feet
now.
away from
The
me.
Fae probably don't care either.
Wouldn't touch you with a 60-foot pole, my guy. If you tried to hex the Fae. I believe in karma, but also, and I've had a lot of people do me dirty. Quinn, you know this. So many people have done me dirty. But, I'm never the kind to be like, execute order 66 on them, like, it's a lot of my own fucking, like, I don't see myself cursing. I do see myself doing, like, smaller things like binding spells or, like, putting someone in the
cord
freezer.
cutting, freezer spells, etc.
But, if it's justified... 100% fucking go for it, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyways, next question.
Fun.
What was the last spell you performed?
Oh, God. The last spell I performed, I think, was the binding spell, which I'm not going to get into the details about.
No. I think the last spell I performed, in the way that I did it, yes, I would count it as a spell. I also did a spell for the, last full moon, which was like I think I like carved something into my candle, like the Saturn.
Oh,
that
I
you
did
sent
that.
me.
I did that too. I don't know if that was before the binding spell or
I
after.
think it was after.
Okay, so that's the last spell I did.
But yeah, it was just to really manifest your desires and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it was a boosted manifestation spell, I would say.
Yes.
You know, and then I put a petition right underneath it, which I really like doing petitions and manifesting. Those are my favorite ways of like day to day kind of spell work. But like the big, like my one and only actual spell where I've had ingredients for was my money bowl spell. Number 20. We're just going in whatever order. Number 20. What is your favorite gemstone? A nice easy one.
Amethyst. I don't know why. Don't have an answer for you. Always attracted to it.
For me, when I was younger, it was always rose quartz. My first pendulum, my only pendulum was rose quartz. But now I'm really big into smoky quartz and
Smoky quartz is
citrine.
so pretty.
It really is. Oh my god. But yeah, citrine. I have a really nice citrine jewelry set, like little vintage citrine earrings and necklace that I wear when I need to be like, hell yeah, confidence, power, you know,
Love
passion.
citrine.
So
I
yeah,
want
a nice
carnelian for that.
little, a nice.
I also
easy
really like
question.
carnelian, but I don't have a lot of it.
What got you interested in witchcraft?
That is a good fucking question.
Good ass fucking question. Also,
the first time
these are questions that you should ask yourself when you're getting into practice.
Yes. The first one, I'm not sure because I started again in freshman year, and I think it was because I wanted to, and I still am working on this. I wanted to, because Wiccan is a very nature-based religion, and I wanted to connect more with nature, and I really wanted to do that and connect more with the earth, which I do now. I earth almost every day, which is walking around outside with no shoes on, and I talk to the plants and whatever. But I think that was part of the reason I did that. And then I forgot about it, obviously, because that was freshman year and then high school, and I was like, ah. And then in senior year, I was on TikTok. I was on Witch Talk. And Witch Talk genuinely was good for teaching me that I didn't need to be Wiccan to do witchcraft.
I feel like Witch Talk is a good place to
start. Do not base everything off of it. Because Jesus Christ. Yeah, Witch Talk was good in the way that it helped me realize that it wasn't just Wicca. And then, yeah, like, other than that, don't go to Witch Talk.
And
what about you?
It's really good for beginner spells and
Yes.
stuff. What got me into witchcraft? That's a good fucking question. I don't know. It's just, I think you started talking about it, and then I started being like,
I think so, probably.
But also, I did have my job. I was working at the meditation center my entire life. I've been surrounded by spiritual people, so that was always like a constant. You know, like my mom would casually mention feng shui, and like she'd be like,
"Oh,
your
Eastern
vibrations,
philosophy.
you know, like you gotta raise the vibes," and I would always be like, "Oh yeah, I guess so," you know. But then you started talking. I never took it as like a serious thing until you started bringing it up, and until I started like working at that meditation center, which I did not like. It's one of my least favorite jobs. And so I guess it's just always been like mentioned around my family and in my community. And then I started taking it seriously in high school. And then, you know, that's how it was there, you know. But I always really liked pop culture witches. Do you consider yourself a psychic?
Yeah, I think everyone's psychic. I think everyone is psychic to varying degrees. And I think a lot of people just haven't tapped into that thing. I mean, especially for me, but like, especially lately, once you start learning about that stuff and once you start opening yourself up to it, you'll find that it's very common, right? Like,
Deja vu.
I've never had deja vu, which I think is interesting in and of itself. I don't know what that means, but I think it's important in some way. However, moving past that, I think everyone is psychic, especially now I've noticed more psychic moments. And I think a lot of people associate psychic with, like, oh, you have the magic.
Like the crystal ball.
Yeah, you have the crystal ball and you have the thing. But in reality, a lot of psychic moments are very, like, it's very rare that you'll have a huge psychic epiphany. It happens, at, you know, whatever. However, most of the time it's just like, oh shit, I already knew this, or oh shit, this, and, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
it's just,
from what I know, it's a very
yeah.
intuition based.
Yes. Once you start tapping into your intuition and stuff like that, you will
Which is
notice.
really hard for me to do.
Yes. Tapping into your intuition is a lot harder than people expect. But,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think everyone is psychic, which is why I think that's why I chose this question. Because if you're listening to this and you don't think you're psychic, you're fucking wrong. You are psychic. You just don't know what your psychic abilities are yet. And you don't have to look into them if you don't want to. But if you want to, start researching different psychic abilities. Clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, which is clair-knowing.
Claire from
Claro?
The Breakfast Club. Claro from Claro. Stream her most recent album. It's really good.
Clairaudience is obviously hearing things. Clairvoyance is seeing things. Claircognizance is knowing things, which I think claircognizance.
Clair tasting is
that's
when you
a thing. Genuinely, yeah. There's a form of clair with smelling and senses and stuff like that.
Pog.
So yeah, I think I think I'm a more claircognizant person. I think I tend to like know things before they happen, and then afterwards I'll be like, whoa, really? Like I knew that, and then it happened.
Yeah,
That's
like
weird.
with your supervisor at work and giving him the amethyst.
Yes, there was this one time specifically where this was more like an intuition thing, but you can count intuition as a psychic power. This is an intuition thing. I used to work at like a summer camp, whatever. I had these kids, and I wore crystals a lot, and they were obsessed with my crystals. All of them loved it. So at the end of camp, I bought this big thing of crystals, and I brought it in a big box, and I was like, you guys can pick the crystals that you want, since you guys all, you know, liked the necklaces and jewelry that I wore. Here are some crystals that you can, like, have. And it was, like, just random crystals, whatever. So after all the kids pick stuff, there's, like, an amethyst or two left. I think there's two, because I think I have one that just happened to be left over, and then I think there was that one. And whatever. So my supervisor comes into my room. Love him. He's a delight. And so I was like, hey, do you want a crystal? And he was like, no, I have a lot of cool rocks at home. And I was like, okay, but you're getting one. And he was like, okay, pick one for me. I don't know why. I felt really called to give him this amethyst. Like, literally, it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a feeling you get. I get it in my chest. I get a feeling of, like, this pressure in my chest when I know that I should give something to someone. And I was deciding against it because, as we all know, I love amethyst. Yep. So my ego was like, but I want it. And I was like, no, fuck that. So I hand it to him, and I give it to him, and he's like, oh, amethyst, this is my birthstone. And I went, what? And he was like, yeah, I'm a, what's the birthstone? Pisces? Probably.
It's like...
No. I don't know.
February?
Whatever it is. He was like, oh yeah, this is my birthstone. And I was like, oh really? Obviously. And inwardly I was like, holy shit. So yeah, it's just stuff like that.
Yeah. People be like psychics. I don't really have too much of an opinion on it because I haven't thought about it.
You literally have prophetic dreams? Shut the hell up.
Okay, I've had like 2 prophetic dreams.
That's more than me!
I did
Gender
predict,
of the baby and the name.
I did predict my aunt's baby's gender and his name, which was very funny. And I don't know. Because I do get deja vu relatively often. Not as much recently because I think the dreams have been interfering with that. Mm-hmm. But
you should check into that.
Not soon enough.
Yeah.
Not soon. Yeah. Anyways, so I don't really know that much about psychic intuition. Anyways, number 38. I think this is gonna be a really fun question. What is your favorite witchy movie? I already know your answer. You already know mine. Let's discuss.
For me, very obvious. Well, to people who know me, The Craft.
The Craft.
I have been obsessed with it ever since I saw it, which was recently.
Because it's a month ago.
Yeah, because it's partly, first of all, Nancy Downs, holy shit, Fairuza Balk.
Oh my god.
I'm in love with Fairuza Balk, and specifically, I'm also in love with Nancy Downs.
Even though she's
I know she's crazy, that's the point. However, she deserved better, blah, 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 one of those things. But especially one thing I like about The Craft, which I watched it because I've seen other witchcraft and spiritual content creators say the same thing. The representation of magic in that show isn't the worst. You know what I mean? Yeah, in the movie, isn't the worst. Like, obviously, it's exaggerated, but I've heard... Hollywood. But I've heard that the people who worked on the movie actually did a lot of research into actual... And it's very Wiccan based.
And in watching the movie, you can tell it's a lot of silent meditation. It's a very intention-based, very
It's very ceremonial, very Wiccan. See her, however,
there's a moment when she's, like, cutting up a photo and, like, binding it, and that's exactly how, like, one of the spells goes.
Yes, that is exactly how a binding spell is done. I mean, obviously, you can change it, have extra steps, have less steps, blah, 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 but the point is, like, it's very, you watch it and it's very whatever. I know I should watch Practical Magic, because I hear that's also a really good one. Haven't gotten around to it. I'll get there.
My favorite witchy movie. It's also my favorite movie of all time. Literally of all time. Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yep.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
It's very accurate, I think. More accurate than our real life practice.
In turn, like, now that I think about it, because I've never really thought about it in, like, a hugely witchy context.
Yeah, who would think
a lot of because Kiki's Delivery Service is a coming-of-age story, which is one of my favorite type of movies. And it's also about, like, burnout, and it's about, like, what happens when you do something that you love as a job. Yeah. And how do you keep your love for it. A huge part of the movie hinges on the fact that Kiki doesn't feel like she's doing a good job, and that affects her magic.
Like 30, 40.
Right? So she is feeling really down about herself, really sad, unmotivated, and that affects her magic. And I feel like that's a direct...
That is very true.
Like, that is 100% true. Reality, because if you don't take care of your own fucking source of energy, it's gonna fuck up your magic. Yes. 100%. And you can do magic to bring up your own energy. Mm-hmm. But if you're already working from, like a -10, it's gonna be way harder to do the spell work that you want and stuff like that. And also just... It's such a good movie, my God. I grew up watching that movie. My immigrant mother from Argentina showed me that movie. Because I still have no clue how she even knew about it in the first place. Literally taste. I love her so much, and I love that movie so much. It's fantastic, and everybody should watch it. I feel like it's a must-watch for everyone. Also, in terms of witchcraft and stuff, witchcraft media, I've been reading Howl's Moving Castle recently. I've been reading it. Because the movie, I don't know
if the movie is good, it's just different.
It's good, it's
like
different.
How every book adaptation movie is.
Absolutely. But in terms of, like, the witchcraft in the book, Sophie has, like, manifestation powers, and that is her magic.
That's awesome.
Which is, again, a really interesting take. Anyways, next question. What's the first spell you ever performed?
I think the first spell I ever performed was probably a protection spell.
Mine was the Moneyball spell, but I do manifestation. Do you like incense?
Yes.
What's your favorite scent?
I love incense. However, I live in a house with a lot of animals. It is important, when you burn incense, in general, it is important to have a lot of coming through, like, a lot of cross airway. So make sure to open windows. And also, if you're just cleansing, you should open a window.
You absolutely
makes
should.
sense, or the bad energy is just gonna bounce around.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like, what the fuck? No, but definitely, especially if you're, using smoke cleansing and incense of any kind, make sure that you have windows open, especially if you have animals. There's also low smoke incense you can get that I think is really good, especially if I'm doing stuff late at night or something like that.
Also, essential oils.
Essential oils are pretty
good. Do a really good job. If you have, like, an oil diffuser or something.
Yes. If you have an oil diffuser, that's great. Anyway, so I love incense. One of my favorite scents right now has been green tea, and I forget the brand. I would check, but it's that everybody knows the brand. It's a Japanese band. Japanese brand. J-pop. And it comes with little incense burning things every time. Anyway, yeah.
I really like Palo Santo. My mom used to burn Palo Santo a lot in her household. I mean,
are we just talking about things we like to burn?
I do like incense. I prefer Palo Santo because it takes a lot. Because I burn stuff every day in my room. Yes. Right? It's ritualistic. It's like I do it, like I make my bed. I burn my incense, or whatever. But I like Palo Santo. I like incense like the blue box incense. I forget the name. I like burning incense, but because I burn it every day, I go through it a lot faster, and Palo Santo takes a lot. It doesn't go out as fast.
Yeah.
Like I bought 3 sticks of Palo Santo literally like in June, and I'm only halfway through the first one.
Damn.
You know?
Because
So-
it's wood, I think.
Yeah, and also it has like oils in it. So, but those are my favorite. And then I just really like, oh god, I think there was this one Palo Santo. I mean, not Palo, there was this one incense that I bought at like a smoke shop or something. And it was like rain or something like that, and it was pretty nice. I really
Nice.
like that one. Do you believe in one god? Do you believe in many gods or one god with many faces?
Yes, this...
Yes, I believe in yes.
No, this I kind of answered earlier. I believe... Wait, what's the question again?
Do you believe in one god? Do you believe in many gods or one god with many
Okay.
faces?
I believe in many gods.
I believe
but
in many gods with many faces.
Here, yes, definitely. But also, I like expanding on this a little bit because I have to explain myself in a way, right? I believe every single religion in the fucking world is correct
I wrote a play about
in
it.
some way. Yeah, is correct in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just the tiniest amount of correctness, quote unquote, because we don't know what the fucking truth is. They're all right. But in terms of like deities and gods, I also believe that every single god exists. I believe that every single god that has been thought of probably exists realistically. And I believe they have many faces, maybe in some, spiritualities. It's the same god technically, but in a different light or whatever.
Yeah, because like
But
historically speaking, you have so many sun gods. You have so
Yes.
many moon beings. King of gods.
Yeah, and they're all different.
Yeah.
They're literally all different in
Mhm.
their own way, even though they might be similar. And it's also a case of like, this is a complicated thing because I can't really put it into words properly, but it's not like I see gods as controlling everything in the way that they are, right? Like, if you think of Athena, right, and whom I love, stan Athena, stan all of the deities everywhere, whatever, they're great. However, if you think of, like, as an example, Athena, right? I don't believe that Athena is in control of all of that shit all the time. I think it's kind of like how in the actual world, there are animals that are so fucking similar, but so slightly different. They do the same things, but in slightly different
They fill
ways.
different niches.
And they fill different niches, exactly. And I think, in terms of considering the fact that I believe spirits and, other forms of life outside of physical life exist, it makes no sense to me that, a whole bunch of higher ranked beings, quote unquote, wouldn't exist. Because if you look at the natural world, if you look at Earth, right, which isn't the only planet, but you know what I mean, if you look at Earth, there are, quote unquote, ranks of those animals, right? There's little tiny mice, and then there's big ass lions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the lion is technically more powerful than the mouse. It can do more. It has more freedom of range, etc., because of just the entity that it is. So to me, it makes complete sense that there are all these things that are seen as gods or deities that exist. Yeah.
I do believe in different gods and deities, just because, like what I said beforehand, like it pervades every culture. Just like how every culture has like a different interpretation of like dragons or something.
Yeah.
Like
Dragons are totally real,
it
by the way.
seems.
Genuinely.
I've never entertained the idea.
I don't think they're physically real, but I think dragons are real.
Yeah. I've never. It's just that. Like, I believe that if you have. Like, it's such a shared human experience.
Yeah.
And if we experience it, who's to say it's not real?
Exactly.
What is your favorite tarot card and tarot card of choice?
My favorite tarot card, just because I haven't thought about this that much, but I would have to say it's probably the moon, because that's the one that I always jump to.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first one that comes to my mind, therefore.
And it's your birth card.
And it's one of my birth cards.
One of your birth cards.
But it has to be the boon. Like the moon.
boon?
The boon?
The boon?
The Boondocks? That's a good
Whoa.
show. No. Anyway, no, the moon, definitely.
The moon is a good one.
I love her.
I
It's right there.
have two that I always default to. Like, anytime I pull either of these cards, I'm like, yes! One of them is also my birth card. It's the star.
The star. Yeah.
I love the star so much and everything it represents. Just, like, new opportunity and potential and stuff. And that's shit I thoroughly believe in. Like, before I started really doing Okay, here's the timeline. I got my first this is important. I got my first tattoo, which you were there for.
Oh, yes.
3 days after I turned 18. So, the 23rd of December. Just putting my birthday out there. Sure, why not?
You didn't have to say the date.
No, but it's important because I got it on the 23rd of December. On the 24th, I attended this Christmas party where I got my first tarot deck. Right? And I've always had an affiliation towards star iconography. I always wanted, my first tattoo to be a star.
I've always loved anything about the moon.
I've always,
moon and stars.
when I was a kid, the thing that I would doodle the most on my homework is stars.
I always doodled the moon.
Literally, that's, y'all.
Like a crescent moon.
Like, when I still wanted to do theater, I always said I wanted to be the star. Like, always.
God.
Like, genuinely speaking, like, I was always like,
the fact
I'm
that
the star of the show.
I was the guy who played the moon in Midsummer.
Fuck you
twice.
guys.
Ever thought about that?
But yeah, so, literally, the way that I got this, like, and my first tattoo is a bunch of stars on my ankle. Right, and then
that was before you really thought about it.
Yeah, that was before I really thought about it.
Because I remember the day you remembered, or you realized, and you were like, I literally got a tattoo on my ankle.
Yeah, literally. And then I found out that the star was one of my birth cards, and I was like, that's fucking crazy.
It makes sense.
So it really resonates with me. And then the other card that I really, really love is the Empress.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of feminine energy, which is something that I've struggled with my entire life, and I'm only now, like, I bought my first dress and skirt this year. I stopped wearing dresses and skirts when I was 4. Dead ass. Like, I turned to my mom one day and I was like, I don't like this anymore. Anyways, but, like, the Empress is a lot of high feminine energy. It's a lot of that female empowerment, girl boss action, But, like, in the best way. Where it's like, you taking care of people, being commanding, being very loving as well. So it's really those two that I'm... and it's just the power within them. Yeah. They're very powerful cards. What is the most spiritual or magical place you've been?
Yo, I remember exactly why I fucking picked this question. Hold on.
Oh my god.
The reason I picked this question was because this past summer I went on a huge ass road trip.
Very long road trip.
Long road trip.
I know you exactly what you're going to talk about.
Yes, because it was literally insane. There was this, I was in, where was I? Gainesville? Probably. I was in Gainesville.
You're not going to bring up the fact that you literally went to Salem?
I'm not talking about Salem because I didn't feel it in Salem. This is why it's strange.
Oh.
I mean, I felt it in Salem, but not in the same way.
Like, historically, you felt it in Salem.
Yeah. There's a lot of witches in Salem. It's very much more overt. But literally the place that I felt the most, like, fucked up in was this. In Gainesville. We brought our dog to Gainesville. So, we were out walking the dog one evening. My brother was with my cousin, I think. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And there was this little, alleyway that was a shortcut back to the house we were staying in, and it was overgrown with ferns. Now, if you don't know the significance of ferns, they are a huge carrier of fae, and they are a huge sign of the Feywild, and they are a huge spiritual plant. Ferns are an extremely important spiritual plant. So I'm like, oh, haha, we should walk over there. It looks like a gateway to, like, the Feywild or whatever. So my mom's like, yeah, let's walk through it. And we walk through it. The minute I get in there, it's like my brain, like, I don't even know. It felt insane. I wrote a journal entry about it. I walked in and my head immediately, I was pulled out of my brain. Mm-hmm. Does this make sense? And I was walking around and I was literally like, holy shit. And then the minute we got out, it went away. And I was like, I'm not going back in there. Hell no! Fuck no! I ain't going back in there! That is the most spiritual place I've been in. And what's weirder is it was just a random fucking alley. It was odd. It was strange. Did not go back. I was like, fuck no. Never going back in there again.
That was very nice. For me, it's not as overt. I think it's not as, present, like a big red exclamation point. The two places that it just comes to is me and the beach. The
beach is a very spiritual place.
But seriously, that is like where last time we went to the beach, when we went to the beach together, like that was the most connected I've felt to the ocean in so long. And I grew up on the beach. It would always be like super quiet when we were there, and it would always be like, a really nice place for me to be. Even when I was a kid, I was like, there's some fucking power. Like, I would talk to the ocean. In the water, I'd be, like, talking to the ocean.
I used to talk to trees when I was
I
younger.
would deadass just talk to the fucking water, right? And so
I
whenever
love
I'm
this.
at the beach now, it's very much like my inner child still in like communicating with it.
Yes, me surrounded by big
100%.
trees, plants.
And literally, like when I was at the beach with you, you know this, I got really fucking quiet.
Yes,
I was just there.
You're never quiet.
I am never quiet. My Aries rising ass. We have a podcast. I think that goes to show that I'm never fucking quiet, right? But I was just there. I was just fucking enjoying it, and especially at night. Because when I was a kid, I would also go to a lot of full moon ceremonies at the beach. But also another place, which I've been to a few times, but there was this one time when I was like, this is fucking, like, I've never felt peace like this. And it was when we were at Umatilla, and it was really fun. It was, like, a really fun experience. You got to camp with your best friends in little cabins and stuff, whatever. I think on the last day of the last time that we went, so my senior year, I went out for a walk with one of our best friends, and I went out for a walk with her in the morning. I think we were, like, the only two up, and then we were ready, and we were like, fuck it, let's go for a walk. And we found out that there was this little man-made lake on the grounds, and the sun was just starting to rise, and there was, like, mist off the ground. And
I love that.
It was, like, September. It was, like, super misty, and it was, like, everything was shrouded in, like, golden sunlight. And we went by this lake, and there was this willow tree there. And willow trees, I've always felt anytime I see a willow tree, I'm like, you have some fucking energy, dude. And willow trees, I feel like, have such, like, a wisdom, and, like, you know,
they really do.
They really do. They carry a lot of that energy. And then we just stayed there for, a solid 20, 30 minutes, and we just hung out there. And the peace and quiet, the inner peace and quiet that I felt, again, I'm a loud person. Mm-hmm. Constant shit going on. But I was very much like, damn, this right here, and being with someone that you love in a magical space is definitely going to help
the vibes.
With the vibes. Do you think it's important to know the history of paganism and witchcraft?
Okay.
Yes. Next question.
There's this YouTuber who made a huge long-ass video essay series, In Search of Shadows, I think his name is, and it talks about the original witch trials, like the original ones that happened in Europe. Watch that, because it explains everything, like first of all, and just that guy's YouTube, he puts so much work into his videos, but specifically that one, there is so much effort that goes into, and so much research that you can see he did that goes into those videos. And it explains everything perfectly. Like, I watched that, and now I'm able to, like, you know, generally just kind of whatever. And, you know, I'm probably going to watch it again because it's good. Just do as much research as you can. Obviously.
Yeah, it's good to know the history of what you're practicing always. You know, like, if you're Catholic, you go to church. You learn history of the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's especially important if you're following a specific sect.
And
neither of us are, but if you're following Greek gods or Greek whatever, Celtic, etc., learn that history.
Especially since with witchcraft, you don't have one specific text that you can read that explains it all. So you have to put in the extra effort and learn how you all got here.
But it is highly important to do so.
And also just to pay the respect.
Pay the respect to the people who paved the way for you to fucking be here, bro.
Yeah.
Like, so many people died for this shit for no reason.
Do you think witchcraft has improved your life? If so, how?
Oh,
no,
God.
I hate it. It only made my life worse. Somebody get me out, please. No.
No, it has genuinely helped me so much.
Yeah, really. I heard this one
I'm such a different person than I was before I started.
Also, in terms of this question, witchcraft is not a substitute for therapy.
No.
Witchcraft spirituality is not a substitute for therapy.
Go to therapy, you twins.
Doing them at the same time, very good. The thing that really changed my view on spirituality, because I used to be one of those fucking dumbass, bitch-ass atheists. Not to say that atheists are bitch-asses,
but I used to be... You're, like, we respect you.
I used to be the atheist that was like, God is dead, nothing matters, do whatever you want, like an edgelord.
Nihilist, whatever.
Yeah, but I heard this phrase that goes, in times of crisis, people lean towards spirituality.
Yes.
And that is really...
It's true.
All that it is. You know, you lean on the things that bring you comfort in times of crisis, and spirituality is a big part of that.
Yep.
You know? So, and especially I was reading, I was watching this video essay that talked about the rise of popularity for astrology specifically, and it was saying like in terms of like the times that we live in, why astrology has gotten so popular again is because of all of the distrust that we have for our institutions.
Yeah.
We can't trust the government. We can't trust organized religion, generally speaking. We have so much mistrust, and we need to place our faith in something. Spirituality, and it does provide different ways for you to, and witchcraft, it does provide different ways for you to just deal with things in the day-to-day. Like I was saying earlier, like it's a way to bring up your own energy and your own motivation with stuff.
And it definitely can help you change in a way, but if you genuinely have severe trauma, it is not going to fix that. Shadow work is important, and shadow work is the witchcraft and spiritual form of like kind of basically therapy, working through your trauma. But part of therapy lumps into shadow work. If you need therapy, do therapy.
Witchcraft does help.
Yes.
It has helped me. It's helped Quinn.
Yeah.
Also go to therapy if you need it.
Go to therapy.
That is a professional
We are
recommendation.
asking you, go
Please,
to therapy.
for the love of God.
Because holy shit,
You're tearing
what are
this
you
fucking
doing?
family apart, dude. 77. Do you believe in fantasy creatures? Unicorns, fairies, elves, gnomes, ghosts.
So to talk about this
briefly,
briefly,
in
yes.
ghosts, absolutely.
Okay, I believe in all of those things. However, I think, like I said briefly with the dragon thing, I think a lot of those beings are not of the physical realm, right? I think it makes perfect sense that they exist. Elves, especially, there's this great documentary about the hidden people in a specific Norway town. Look into that, because it is an entire culture that believes in elves, and hidden people are not elves. They are different in that culture. However, look into that, because that culture is so ingrained with the belief in elves and hidden people that it affects the construction they do. It affects the laws that they make, etc. It is extremely, like, watch it. Go watch it. It's really good. Look up hidden people. It's great. Anyway, I totally believe elves exist. I think there is no reason that they shouldn't exist. Whether they are physical or, I've heard of people saying that there are some people that they see or that they know that they are 80 or like 99% sure are something other than just human. You know what I mean? They're like, this person's fucking weird. I get this vibe from them. They're just not of this world. And I totally believe that that's possible. Especially stuff like dragons, fae. Because I think there are probably some things that can exist both, if they're very similar to living creatures, that can exist both on a physical plane and the spiritual plane. But like stuff like dragons, unicorns, fae, etc., I think probably the reason they're in so many mythology and the reason you can see them through other cultures is because they exist. I believe a lot of people probably could see these things if the veil was thin for them, right? And they would see them maybe not even like that often or whatever. I totally believe those things exist. There's no reason they wouldn't, I think. We can't prove that they don't exist.
Again, I didn't put that much thought into it. I do believe vehemently that ghosts exist.
Ghosts
not
exist.
Not just for the goose and for the gags, because I do love ghosts so much. To what extent do they exist? As in, like, why are they here? Why? What's going on? Literally, who the
Not
fuck
my problem.
knows?
That's their problem. That's their business.
But yeah, there's no reason why they shouldn't. Especially, again, if they're pervasive in so many cultures. There must be an ounce of truth to it.
Yeah.
Last
question.
Do you feel you have any natural gifts or affinities that led you towards the craft? If so, what are they?
I think I've naturally always been connected to nature, because that's the reason I started. And I remember as a child, we used to have this big spiky tree in the back. It has a specific name. And it was like a holy tree in certain traditions. I mean, in my tradition, obviously, it was just a fucking spiky tree to me. However, I remember I would want to collect the spines for whatever reason. I don't have any of them anymore. I regret that. When I was younger, I remember I would go and I would like hug that tree, obviously as gently as possible, because I felt bad because it had spikes and I was like, no one wants to hang out with you, but I do.
Again, I used to talk to the ocean. I would be like, hey, how's it going? Why are you being so fucking weird today? Why is this water so choppy? Who made you mad?
Calm
or like
down,
I would vent to the ocean a lot. I want to live in a lighthouse, so it'll eventually drive me crazy, and I can throw myself into the ocean because I am from the ocean, and to the ocean I must return. It's going to take over. Her spirit will take me over, and I will throw myself into the ocean, and that's how I want it. That is how I want it. I'm putting this on the podcast right now. If I don't fucking die via throwing myself into the ocean, that's not me. I used to talk to this to the ocean. I'm very connected to the ocean. That's my favorite natural body. And then also, again, I started getting deja vu seriously when I was like 11 or 12, and that's when it would start happening. My last prophetic dream, which is actually just so fucking weird, because I applied to my dream school, my dream college this year, or at the very tail end of last year or something, and I got in, right? Woo! I got in. I couldn't afford it though. Even with the half tuition that they gave me, it was a still really expensive private school. Stinky. Right. It was a really expensive private arts school. So yeah, but so it was either stay at home, do college for free, or go to the dream school that I've been working 4 years to get into. Three-ish years. I don't know why I said 4. So it was a really hard decision for me to make, right? Because ever since I was a kid, I was like, I hate this town. I want to get out of this city. I hate my hometown, right? So in making this decision, I talked to a lot of people that I look up to. A lot of people, like, I talked to my dad. I talked to some really close family friends who are also very spiritual. Whatever. I had a dream where I was on a college campus. That's what the environment felt like. It was a very academic environment. And there was this building. I was on the stairs going down to the street from this building, and it was a huge glass building. It was like concrete and glass, right? So the decision I made was to stay at home and go to college for free because Gen Z is the poorest generation since the Great Depression.
Yeah, I'm not liberals.
I'm not going to take out...
We're the liberals.
I'm not going to take out $75,000 in loans for 2 years of schooling. Yeah. Right? So, I start college, I go on campus, and this is the first building that I see. I've never been to the college campus that I go to before the first day of school. Right? So, I was like, holy shit, I had a dream about this fucking campus when I was literally deciding where I should finish my undergrad. So, very much a prophetic dream. Those are the questions!
Those are the questions.
Fucking long-ass questions. Goddamn.
Long-ass.
This was a longer episode, but it was really fun.
Longer episode.
Here are the weekly horoscopes to bid you adieu on this podcast episode.
Leos. Maybe show your biddies to someone.
Whoa!
Have you thought about it? I think it would help a lot.
Listen, they didn't.
Because trust me. Listen, man, your biddies are beautiful. Whether they're big, small,
I don't care if they're little, put the moves in my face. Hey,
exactly.
They just want to be like me. Okay.
Exactly. Show your biddies to someone. Because they're beautiful. It doesn't matter.
And also, OnlyFans isn't banning pornography anymore.
Well,
so I'm just saying, Leos, we know you love that cash money.
But also maybe don't get on OnlyFans because they seem to be fucking shitty.
They do. Hey, man, do it if you whatever you want, or show your emotional biddies to someone.
Biddies can mean anything.
Biddies can mean anything you want them to mean. I was gonna do Aries. We're doing fire signs today. Aries, make some time. Chill out. Maybe, like, we get it. You want to do everything all at the same time. I know. I'm there with you. But please, for the love of God,
sit down.
You have other priorities that you need to take care of too, and that's whatever you want it to mean. Those Just chill out. Anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so much
listening
for
to
listening.
Spelling Test.
This has been
where
Spelling
you have
Test.
to always remember to practice
Safe
hacks.
Yay!
Yay!
Remember to follow us on Instagram at Divers and Drivers Official. We
follow
have
us on Twitter, Divers
Facebook,
and Drivers.
if you want it.
Facebook for why? I don't know. Maybe it's maybe you're one of our relatives and you're like, Facebook. You're with your little cane walking across.
Facebook.
Nobody fucking uses
Oh my
Facebook.
God.
If you still use Facebook, you
We
are a
use
lizard
Facebook.
person.
We just turned the lizards.
We are actually lizards. Why
Um,
do you think we're doing a podcast and not a fucking YouTube channel?
Bro, why the fuck would you say that?
They don't know. How are they gonna know? Nobody's gonna know.
What if I put it in the episode?
Nobody's gonna know. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Drive safe, get home safe, have a good evening, morning, afternoon. Good vibes. Make sure you fucking carry some rocks in your boobs.
And be sure to twerk on the weekends.
Yay, bye!
Bye.